Well, the White House is touting major deals as President Trump wraps up his trip to the Middle East. What the president is saying about a potential nuclear deal with Iran. And after hearing from local residents, the company behind a foul odor in the River Valley announces it will discontinue operations in Crawford County.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News at noon.
Well, thank you for joining us for your 5 News at noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with Joshua Weisel, who has been busy today tracking some storms in the area. So let's just get straight to the weather. What do we need to know right now?
Yeah, and we've got strong to severe storms that are in the River Valley right now. One particular one is in Logan and Scott counties. And you can see we've got this activity that we're keeping a very close eye on. Just did a quick update on 5+ just to let viewers know what's going on. This storm is a little bit of a problem. We're still watching this very closely. Ping pong ball sized hail. If anything changes with this, we'll let you know. We'll go into coverage and inform you. But this is a pretty gnarly little supercell, and this is going to be capable of large damaging hail as it continues to move off towards the east, at least at this moment in time. So ping pong ball sized hail and even some 60-mile-per-hour winds. Here's a look at our risk for today, and you can see we're at a 2 out of 5 for a large portion of our area. The overall risk today is not significant, but it's one of those conditional risks where if anything were to develop, it could be a higher-end severe weather potential, and by that, not necessarily talking tornadoes, but the hail risk today, we could be talking baseball plus if a storm were to get its act together and become a problem. So not everyone's going to see this size hail, but it's just something to keep in mind. Any isolated supercell will have the potential to produce damaging winds in large, maybe even destructive hail. So that's why we're keeping a very close eye on this activity. So watching these storms closely, we'll let you know if anything changes. Right now, again, the only areas of concern are in the River Valley where we have one particular storm creating some issues. We'll let you know if anything changes, and we will let you know here in just a little bit.
Thank you, Joshua. Well, President Trump wrapped up a 4-day trip to the Middle East, touting business deals and investment in the United States. He also confirmed that his administration has handed Iran a nuclear deal proposal, warning that they need to move quickly or, as he says, something bad is going to happen. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
President Trump wrapped a whirlwind tour of 3 Gulf states, touting what he says will be trillions of dollars in new investment.
I have to be a cheerleader for our country. That's why our country is doing so well.
During the final hours of his stop in the United Arab Emirates, he mingled with business leaders across energy, healthcare, and tech. The U.S. and UAE also announced plans for a partnership to build an artificial intelligence data center in Abu Dhabi. President Trump also visited the Abrahamic Family House, an interfaith complex with a church, synagogue, and mosque, and signed a guest book there.
It's great unity, great faith. They're incredible people.
Heading back to Washington on Air Force One, the president confirmed his administration has presented Iran with a nuclear deal proposal, saying that country knows it has to move quickly or something bad is going to happen.
Earlier in the trip, he urged Qatar to help the U.S. reach an agreement with Tehran.
We want to have this end peacefully, not horribly.
And while there had been buildup about this week's talks between Russia and Ukraine and Turkey, President Trump signaled he wasn't optimistic about a breakthrough.
Look, nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, okay?
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky posted a photo of his meeting with European leaders as they spoke with President Trump by phone, saying pressure must be maintained on Russia until Russia is ready to end the war. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump also suggested he would meet with Russia President Putin as soon as they can set it up. And also making national headlines, the U.S. Supreme Court justices heard arguments over the Trump administration's efforts to expel certain immigrants. The White House has challenged part of the Constitution's 14th Amendment. It says any person born in the U.S. is a citizen, even if the parents aren't citizens. Several lower courts blocked the Trump administration from using that interpretation. Thursday's argument centered on whether those judges should be able to make those rulings apply to the whole country. Well, lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs are set to continue their cross-examination of his former longtime girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. The R&B singer testified Combs physically and emotionally abused her, but lawyers for Combs tried to suggest that it was consensual and that violence was part of a toxic relationship. Jarrett Hill has the latest.
In federal court, a balancing act for Sean Diddy Combs' lawyers as they cross-examined Cassie Ventura about their decade-long relationship. Attorneys showing text messages and emails between the two, from love notes to exchanges about drug-fueled sex encounters called freak-offs. One from August of 2009, Cassie wrote, "I'm always ready to freak off," when Combs allegedly asked when she wanted the next encounter to be. In 2017, "I love our freak-offs when we both want it." Cassie later explained to the court, "I would say loving freak-offs were just words at that point." She also testified about consensual sex with Combs after she accused him of raping her in 2018. Attorney Judy Saunders specializes in sexual abuse cases.
Years ago, or, something, testimony like that may have been, more detrimental to a witness. But I think that, culturally, there's a lot more understanding about the nuances of withdrawn consent.
Ventura also testified about jealousy and infidelity on both of their parts and said both were addicted to painkillers and that when Combs was in withdrawal, he was more violent. Cassie's attorney.
I don't think there's a legal defense to this case based on his drug use.
Sean Combs faces 5 charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. While his attorneys acknowledge violence and a, quote, swinger lifestyle, Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Well, new at noon, the company behind the foul odor in the River Valley announces it will end operations in Crawford County. Denali announced it will end operations in January of 2026 following those odor complaints from River Valley residents. This comes after a public hearing last night where local residents told the Arkansas Division of Energy and Environmental Quality that the smell is a threat to their quality of life and local economy. Denali officials attended that meeting to hear the feedback, and less than 24 hours later, the company announced it would discontinue operations. The town of Arcoma faces a massive sewer rate hike from Fort Smith. Town leaders say this could devastate residents. In June, Fort Smith will raise its rate on Arcoma by about 225%. Residents worry the hike will push utility bills to $400 a month, a bill they can't afford. Fort Smith argues it lost more than $700,000 last year by charging the lower rate. This has left residents worried.
How are we going to pay the bills if they shut off our water and let our city die? What happens to the people that owns their home? Am I going to haul buckets of water from the Podo River?
Town representatives wanted to speak at the board meeting in Fort Smith, but say they were denied the chance. The decision has left Arcoma exploring options, including evacuation measures for its nursing home and schools if water's cut off. Well, the family of Brian Malinowski is filing a wrongful death lawsuit against the ATF. Malinowski was the director of the Clinton National Airport in Little Rock when he was shot and killed by agents serving a search warrant on his home last year. The warrant stemmed from an investigation alleging he bought and sold more than 100 guns without a license. Some of those same weapons later turned up at crime scenes. Local prosecutors ruled the shooting justified. The lawsuit from Maria Malinowski also claims the raid violated her constitutional rights. Well, Madison County's new jail is nearing completion with a newly passed sales tax that will operate it. In 2022, Madison County voters approved a 0.5% sales tax to build a new jail, but turned down a separate tax to fund its operations. A second attempt also failed, but on Tuesday, voters changed course and approved a 1% sales tax. The new jail will house 148 inmates and include spaces for visits with attorneys and family members.
Had a lot of people that were getting turned loose. Just because there was nowhere to put them. Other jails in the state are in the same situation with overcrowding.
The new $16 million facility is expected to be finished in June and fully operational by early 2026. Walmart says tariffs are forcing them to raise the prices you pay for many of the products on its shelves. The chief financial officer has indicated that prices could go up within weeks. However, CEO Doug McMillon did not say on Thursday's quarterly earnings call which products would face a price increase. Toys and electronics imported from China fill many shelves at Walmart. Some of those will face an import tax of 30%.
Retailers are all trying to do their best with the uncertainty that's been handed to them. They've set up command centers and are prepared for many different scenarios, whatever comes their way.
Walmart CEO says they're prepared to absorb the cost of certain areas like food, but that means they may have to raise prices in different categories across the store. So they're looking at all of their inventory as they say they try to minimize how much they have to hike prices. Well, at Baum Walker, the Hogs will continue their last home series before the SEC tournament. This is video from day one. Some fans have been out at the stadium since before the series even started. Some told us that they arrived as early as 4 in the morning. Others camped out overnight. And of course, they'll be back out there tonight. Some of them were already out there this morning, hoping the Hogs can finish the series strong before heading into the postseason. And the Arkansas softball team will also be in action at home today. They're hosting regionals with a game this evening at 5:30 against St. Louis. That will air on ESPN Plus right after Oklahoma State and Indiana play at 3. And this weekend, the Fayetteville Strawberry Festival will return to the downtown square. New this year, a honky-tonk street dance will take place tomorrow night from 6 to 9. Then on Sunday, the creator and illustrator of the Strawberry Shortcake franchise will be there on site. The main event Sunday will last from noon to 6. It will feature musical performances, a dog costume parade, and a pie competition.